welcome back. This is C. Murray once again, and we are watching the Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix Critical Walkthrough. Right now we're off to the Land of Dragons, which is from the Mulan movie. And right now you're being introduced to the new version of the Gummy Ship levels, which are a lot more dynamic and interesting than in the first Kingdom Hearts game already. They're still kind of tedious, they still kind of just get in the way to fill time, but this at least adds some variety to it. There's a lot more dodging, a lot more things going on instead of like this linear platform where you hope you don't get hit by these random things. And I didn't really explore the Gummy Ship too much. I did a few upgrades on the first game, but very minimally. I didn't do any of the extra stages or anything like that. I kind of just did it just to progress through the game in Kingdom Hearts 1. And as of right now, I'm doing the same exact thing with this game, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with that. So we'll see. The guide's still in progress, so we'll see how it goes. But as you can see, if it even switches up. You can tell that they listen to criticism and feedback, because I think everyone that played Kingdom Hearts could all agree. I know there are some die-hard Gummy Ship fans, but everyone could agree that it did fall a little short of expectation, or what you would expect from it. Not that anyone expected a Gummy Ship in this game, not that anyone expected anything in this game. I think when the Kingdom Hearts game was announced, it was just hard to comprehend at the time, because like Disney and Final Fantasy, like how do those worlds even combine? But somehow they managed to make it happen, and they somehow managed to make it not only happen, but happen to be one of the greatest games of all time, which is a feat in itself, and not relying on just Final Fantasy characters to achieve that. Actually, the big selling point of this game is not so much the Final Fantasy cameos, but the actual exploration of the worlds of Disney. And that just shows how many Disney fans there truly are, and why Disney is one of the super companies of the world and the prime definition of capitalism in America. So as you can see here, the general basis of it's pretty much the same. You shoot things, you collect things, and you have health, and you try not to die. A good strategy is if you just go in circular motions once it gets a little too hectic, almost like in a geometry style of gameplay. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that from the Xbox, but it's a good way to keep it moving, and a good pattern that should get you through all the levels. But we got some blueprints, we got some records, new record, initial record. So now we are off to the Land of Dragons to meet Mulan. I do really enjoy this game. I'm not sure if any of like my critiques in the previous video dissuade you from continuing on, but I highly suggest continuing on. I just like to get the minor things out and up front in the beginning of the game, so everyone knows what they're in store for. But there's a lot more pros and cons in this game, as with every Kingdom Hearts game. I do find it odd that they just like lay treasure chests out for you. Like there's no searching involved. You just start a level and, oh, here's some chests, and here's a save point, and here's a little shop. Like it became really convenient, and I don't feel they needed to go so easy on it. I mean, with Final Fantasy 13, they took away the open world exploration, Square Enix, and made it so that anyone could play the Final Fantasy game like with relative ease. You just go point A to point B on the map, and everything's kind of laid out in front of you. And I wasn't a huge fan of that, actually. I enjoyed the open world abilities and things you could do open world, I guess. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say, but with Final Fantasy 7, 8, and even 9. And 10, we started to slowly veer away from that, but at a certain point in the game, you do have the ability for open world exploration, but it's extremely limited in Final Fantasy 13. But what you're seeing right here, it's very simple, folks. Just defeat the enemies. It shouldn't be too hard. They're pretty standard enemies. We have the Heartless, as we should all be familiar with. And these little wizard things that can be a pain in the ass, but you just hit, steer clear, hit, steer clear, and you shouldn't have a problem. And you might be wondering what all these things floating around are, and that is morale, as you can see in the top left bar of your screen. Well, you could have. The morale will be acting as a form of health here. So you don't want to lose all your morale or you will fail. So we're going to go up here and get a crown. I think it takes me like 3 tries, but there are things in this game, as in with my Birth by Sleep walkthrough, where you're not supposed to be able to obtain the items quite this early in the game, but with a little innovation, you can make it work. As you see that, he just won't hop on the edge, so I get impatient. Somehow I miss it, and we'll get it here on the 3rd try. Just don't be afraid to just give it a try. If you think that there's a way you can make it, there's probably is. Unless the geometry of the level just prevents you. But as you can see, there's a crown there in the top left, and as of right now, I'm not really sure how to obtain that, but we'll take care of that when we come back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be collecting all the crown pieces in this walkthrough, as I'm not so sure about Birth by Sleep as well. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how much I've collected as I get to a certain point in the game, and then I'll be sure to keep everyone posted if I'll be going back to do a little 100% collectibles walkthrough. I wish Final Fantasy VIII was ported and had achievements or trophies, because Final Fantasy VIII is probably the Final Fantasy game, if not the only one, that I have 100% like to the T. I've gotten, well, I shouldn't say that, because there's always going to be someone that's done something way more than you can imagine above and beyond. But I've unlocked all the summons in FF8, maxed out my level, collected all the ultimate weapons, and I think, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep getting sidetracked. So right here, it's another mission. As you can see, we have our morale. Every time we're hit, we will lose morale, and then there's also a number of enemies listed with like a counter of enemies. I go to pick up the chest because items are good, why not? But just defeat the enemies. It's very simple, very straightforward. Be careful, be aware that this is critical mode. Your health is shit in this game, as it should be for the challenging factor of critical mode. And use the abilities and the extra commands and AP you have to your advantage, and learn how to play smarter, play strategically, instead of just button mashing. These are destroyable. You can get morale from them. And yeah, that's it. I was gonna say, that might be in just like the little, I forget what Peggle matches. I don't know what they're called. I forget the tournament in the beginning with Roxas, when you play against everyone in VV from Final Fantasy IX. Our first battle with Axis, actually. Axel, my god. And I've recently played 358 over 2 days, too. And I'm still getting the name wrong. I know it's Axel. But, in that, like, you either defeat your opponent or you collect all the balls. I'm not sure if the morale works the same way. I could be mistaken. I'm completely blanking. I'm not sure if you start out with full morale. I'm assuming you do. Or if it's like if you collect all the or max out your morale meter to finish. That might be what it is for this. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. Oh, we're already level 9. Wow. Moving up the chain quick. Now this guy, don't be too intimidated. Just keep your distance. He does have a good reach with that spear. If you ever see him and you're in doubt about to attack with it, just kind of jump in the air, steer clear of it, get above level. Be careful. I decided to rush it. When he's rushing at me, I'll just jump in the air, come from behind, attack him while he's trying to regroup back into stance. I prefer to take out the little nuisances on the side before taking on the big guy. Just make sure you don't get too close to him, because you'll get a spear to the head. So you definitely want to be aware of that. Alright. So I throw a few blizzards at him. I wait. I'm impatient. Almost get hit, but I'm swift enough. As you can see, Donald is dead. What else is new? If you have played Kingdom Hearts 1 in Proud Mode, I'm sure it's like that in every other mode, but Donald is always dead, as is Goofy. Right there, he was stunned. I should have went in for the kill, but I didn't. But that's okay. It'll only take a few more seconds. He gets a hit on me. We lose some morale. That's okay. We pick it back up. Now, don't be mistaken that the morale is only your health. You can still die, as you can see. But I do a nice little cure ability, well, a potion. And I go in for the kill. But if you lose all your morale, you lose, but you can also lose your health. And very similar to the old matches with Roxas, where you could lose the balls, but you're also taking damage from your health, and you can actually die in those tournaments. So you gotta be careful. And this game is more difficult in the earlier stages. So just be on your feet, and this is the last mission, which is the search mission. And this one's fairly simple. The enemies are just gonna pop up around here. Just go hunt them down, find them. There's not too many places to look. They're mostly heartless in those wizards, so it's not much of a challenge. So, this may come as a surprise, but I work, I'm sure I've told you this before, but I work in like film and video. I study film and media arts with a focus in cinematography. But I also enjoy writing and directing and pretty much all the roles. Editing, obviously, I'm somewhat capable of, considering I'm editing these videos that you're watching. But, so that's what I do on the side, pretty much. And I reached out, there's filming a Rocky movie called Creed. And it's filming here in Philadelphia, where I'm stationed at the moment. Going to school in Philadelphia. And, alright, here comes the little wizard dude, just take him out. And I reached out to be a part of the Creed production, and positions are full, of course. Go figure, it's a Hollywood production, why wouldn't they be? But I was offered a role to be cast as like a background actor. So I thought like, oh, no way. And then oh, why not? So I actually went. That's where I was 2 days ago. I was on the set of the new Rocky movie. And it was pretty cool being on a production. But at the same time, like I've never learned, or I shouldn't say that because I used to be in the military and I have deployed, so I know what it's like to be withdrawn from electronic devices, but it's been a while. And I was set in this holding room, and I didn't want to bring a phone on set, so I decided to part ways with my phone, and the only thing I brought with me was my iPod, loaded with a bunch of podcasts. I mean, I'm a avid fan of Kevin Smith, so I listen to a lot of Smodcast podcasts, and I also am a fan of Rooster Teeth, so I usually listen to The Patch, or I'll listen to the Rooster Teeth podcast, for instance. And I also like catch up on my gaming podcasts, like Podcast Beyond or the PlayStation Blogcast, things like that. But that's all I brought. And okay, sorry. But right here, you need to break through this wall, but do not try to do it without defeating the enemies. Defeat the enemies. It's that simple. Just take care of these guys. Once they're clear, you have free range to attack the wall. Once we break through the first layer, I recommend backing up because a new set of Heartless will show up. And in this tight quarters, they can hurt. They can really hurt, and your health can't take it. And as you can see, my health is already low. I choose not to heal. Donald decides to take it upon himself to heal me. And we take them out, and we can knock the wall down to progress. Simple stuff, guys. Pretty linear. This level in the game is not too bad. Here we're going to explore the canyon a little bit, pick up some items, take out some enemies, and work on getting some experience points. I thought about cutting out all the grinding, but I don't do too much of it. I find myself doing even more of it in Birth by Sleep by chance. That's mainly because I'll make a platforming error and end up at the beginning of the level again, like I did in the Castle of Dreams stage in Birth by Sleep. And then I kind of just like replayed the level twice because I fell from this high point all the way back to the beginning. It was a pain. But back to my story. Well, before I do that, what we're doing here up to level 10. So the levels are progressing fairly quickly, surprisingly. But I'm just going to explore here, collect all the treasure chests, and then there's a rock wall similar to the one we got, as you can see there. When you walk in front of that, it will spawn one of those big creatures that we fought out by the river. Take him out, and you'll be able to take out the rocks and proceed to the next part, part 2. Yeah, so I go with just my iPod, and we're told that oh, they've already started at like 5:30. Just stand by and wait for our cue and what to do next. So then we go through wardrobe, hair and makeup, get all approved from that. And at that time, I showed up to be on set at like about 9 o'clock, I think was my call time for set. And we sat there probably close to 10 hours waiting. And then, yeah, it was crazy. And I don't think I've sat 10 hours doing nothing like ever. I brought no busy work. We were told to leave our valuables behind. Here's the guy, take him out. But we were told to leave our valuables behind. We were told to not bring our phones on set, so I didn't. And of course, knowing America, every single person had their phone but me, it felt like. But I didn't want to run out to my car and get it because I was afraid that the second I left, they'd be trying to film. And so I didn't, and I had to wait like 10 hours. And oh, I forgot there's another one. I had to wait like 10 hours with just listening to a podcast, which was good because it let me catch up, and I like had all the time in the world to think to myself, which is really strange, and look at people you don't know and strangers, and make some cool relationships with people you never talk to again. And yeah, so I'm not sure if I'll be in the scene, but I was in a pivotal scene that involved a steady cam, and we nailed it in one take. So either we got it in one take, which I highly doubt, knowing film production, or I'm not going to be in it at all. And I was there for nothing but the experience, but it was still a cool experience. But this walkthrough is not about my experience on a movie set. This walkthrough is about Kingdom Hearts 2, and that is the end of The Land of the Dragons Part 1. So we'll continue with Part 2 and finish this stage up. I'll see you in the next vid.